Can I ask a question like along all these lines of double neck, 12 string, 7 string, down tune guitar?
Okay.
You know, I showed this guitar to my wife, and she's like, "You're not playing that at church, are you?" And I said, "Absolutely, I'm playing it at church. I can't wait." She's like, "No, John, really?" And in my head, I thought, this is the most boomer thing I'll do, but I'm going to do it proudly, and I'm into it. But I do understand, and I notice there are people who might be like, that's distracting, or the 7 string is like too much, or like what, you know. Is there any validity to those things? Because I'll be honest, when I hear people say like, oh, that could be distracting, or that's like a little show off, or that's...
Are you
like,
talking about at a church?
Yeah, I'm talking about specifically at church, like on Sunday morning. Look, if I'm in a Jimmy Page, if I'm in a Zeppelin tribute band, this is totally appropriate.
Of course, you're
Yes,
playing it.
Table
yes,
stakes.
I'm getting the gig
A
because
Sir
of this.
would be out of place. Like, why are you playing a Jam
Right.
Pro?
You have to have that, and you have to have a bunch of Les Pauls,
Yeah.
and then a Telecaster. And
But I'll tell you, my attitude is when I see this, I start thinking of all the places I can throw something in. I can do something creative. I can have a good time. I don't go to a huge church like that has a lot of names and stuff. There's some of those around here. But like my attitude is 100%, I'm kind of doing this at worst for me, at best for the music. At no point do I care what anyone else is thinking.
Yeah.
And so is there any validity to like this is a distraction argument? How do you guys feel? 7 strings, mandolins, baritones,
We had a running joke.
Explorers, V's, like, right?
I'm going to
ahead.
start there.
Go
So
ahead.
we had a running joke at our church that we played out together. I was the music director, and he played on the band. He would send me pictures all the time of like ridiculous reverb listings.
Yeah.
He was like, "Would you kick me off stage if I brought
I
this?"
always was. I'm very interested to find the limit.
Yeah,
What is
where's
the
the
most
cutoff?
outrageous
Yeah.
guitar that I could bring that you would say, you know?
And a
yeah,
lot of
that's
times you
fine.
thought I would say no. I'm like, no, that's fine. And you're like,
Right.
this is fine. You know, like, yeah, what would?
Yeah.
And then there was a couple that you found the limit. It was like, no, absolutely, you can't play that.
Yeah, we figured out that like a natural like Carina Explorer was like the limit. A black
You
or a
could
white
get
one,
away with that?
I could get away with a natural wood Explorer.
Yeah.
but a black or a white one.
See, I disagree. I played
too much.
I played a Sunburst Explorer at my church in San Francisco on and off for years.
Yeah, but that was in San Francisco.
Yeah, but who cares? Everyone is from California.
I would say
out
a
here.
checkerboard Explorer would be out. You
I
know,
would-
like, but this is to your point. Like,
Yes.
why is checkerboard distracting? Like, what's the person
To
saying?
me, checkerboard's okay as long as you don't actually glue a king and queen like chess piece onto it for
You have like
decoration.
the knobs that are like
Interesting.
chess
Then
Like
pieces.
a
it's too much.
functional
All
All right,
checkerboard.
what I was gonna say is
Who walks in? This is, I guess, is my question. Who walks in, looks at the guitar, and goes, "Well, now I can't focus." Like if I'm playing this, or if this is lime green, you might notice it for
I don't
exactly
know.
3 seconds,
I
and then
think-
you're done,
It's
right?
an
think-
interesting thing.
I think it's more about the musicality, and it's more about how you choose it. Look, these
Yeah.
are tools,
Yeah.
right? They
100,
can be used
yeah.
for good or for evil,
Yes.
right? I can come in with
Right.
a very, with the most, I don't know, the most like vanilla guitar possible, right? For the situation. And then play it terribly and play with
Yeah,
way too much
both could be
distortion
yeah.
and you know what
Sure,
I mean? And
sure.
just start shredding all the time and
Yeah.
be unmusical
Out of
about
the
it.
genre.
And so now
Yeah.
it's not the guitar that's distracting, it's me that's distracting.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you could play beautiful music on
But
a
is that
lime
be-
green acoustic. Like Gibson has a lime green acoustic.
Yeah, but I don't think. But the problem with what you're saying is not that it's somehow distracting. It's that sucks. That's like playing the wrong chord. It's not that it somehow like would take someone out of it. I'm not of the opinion that there is any solo so blazing and so incredible that it could, that if it's, as long as it's not like
So that's what I-
completely inappropriate.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say I feel like it's more about are you playing the music that's appropriate for
Yes.
the song?
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. You
And
got to
it-
serve the song. For
and
sure.
then it as long as you're doing that in a tasteful way, I think it matters way less what you're playing it on.
Right.
But still matters.
But matters a little bit.
Do you think
right?
anybody?
But,
But do you think anyone gives a shit what David Hislop buys and plays? Zero.
right?
Absolutely
I think
zero.
they do. I
No,
think they do.
never. I've watched him buy. I've never seen him like buy a guitar that didn't end up up there. Red.
I don't know.
bright
who that-
color-
Well, the
I don't know who
guitars
that
he's
is.
buying are probably within the threshold.
I get that a BC Rich Warlock with a demon's head on it.
These
would
are the
not
ones
go-
John would send me. Can I play this on stage?
Okay, I get that.
Like a,
I
It was
get
always
that.
the BC Rich
like a
ones.
super bright yellow, like Strat copy. Like, no, don't.
Or like one
No,
with
bright,
like a
but bright is
skull
different.
on it or something.
Okay, the skull and stuff, like
Hold
demonic
on.
imagery, of
Hold
course.
on.
Is,
Remember there was one
It's
that
a
was
great thread.
There was one that was carved to look like a skeleton that was glow in the dark.
I was like, you can't play that on Sunday. You can't do it. It's just
of course, any sort of demonic or occult imagery would be
Right.
like
Yeah.
directly opposed. But a bright color, that's completely arbitrary line. Who says Goldie's not too bright and flashy?
it has been called ugly
It has been called ugly numerous times. Also,
Really?
in the 80s,
in the comments of our videos.
Yeah.
Oh, they're wrong.
There's some Goldie
I
haters.
play pink
those people
guitars.
are wrong.
I play pink guitars. I have 2 pink guitars I play. I play a blue one. Someone walked up to me the other
This
day
one's
and
pink.
said, "So I have to ask you, the pink guitar, the baby blue guitar, is there a story behind those?" And I just went, "No, they're cool. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
These are awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look,
like,
all I'll say, okay, so if you walk in
yeah,
with a, with a loud looking instrument, right? You know what I mean by
I
that,
played
right?
that at church for a year, filling in on bass, and I played it in clubs, and
No,
it was awesome. Go ahead.
So
I
look,
just wanted to hold it.
yeah, if you walk in with something that's visually loud
Yes.
and you play visually or like musically distracting, then that's no good. But if you walk in with something that's visually loud, but you play serving the music and
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Then I feel like you can get away with a lot more looks than you can. You know what I mean? It matters less.
Like you
So-
earned it. Like you earned it with how
Yeah,
you played.
if you walk in with a glow in the dark skeleton guitar and play it at church, it doesn't matter how well you serve the
Interesting.
music.
Because
They're
it's beyond some threshold.
yes. So there's like a balance.
Yeah.
I think that's well within the balance.
No, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope this is not.
I don't think anyone's going to be like, they really should tell that guy not to play that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's just weird. There's
I'm
these
definitely
arbitra-
going on Sunday now.
See, it's
After
weird.
that
That, it's
conversation.
weird that Suze, though, you pointed out, and I would say the line that you point out is kind of arbitrary. Like for you, the bright color was like too much.
You should have seen it, John.
I'm imagining the bright yellow, bright green,
Yeah.
but also there was a time, like when those were the most popular, there was a time in the 80s where bright colors in fashion were just a little more like, lots of people just would have like there'd be a like neon orange,
Kinda like the
stripe
sweater
in your
you're wearing
jacket.
currently.
See, I wore this on Sunday. Do you know how many people went, "Oh, I love that 90s sweatshirt." You know, it's like, it's I'm already a guy that, has had blonde hair and purple. I was purple. I put lightning bolts. Like,
Yeah.
there's already an amount of like,
Style.
So maybe I can get away with a little more than like, but dude, there's a lot
You
of
can.
there's a lot of dudes who I just see the comments sometimes. They're like, I've never played that at church, or like, but I'll never play this at church, like my Floyd Rose at church. And I'm thinking like, but why not? It's fine.
Yeah.
Play whatever you want, man.
I think, look, confidence goes a
interesting.
long way. And if you just own it and, again, serve the music, that's the biggest thing. If you're not serving the music, then it doesn't matter what you bring.
Yeah.
But if you're serving the music and you believe in what you're doing and you're confident in it, man, I think you can get away with a
Yeah.
lot.
How about that?
I'd play that.
I called this the Rising Sun bass.
We should put new strings on it, though. They're like visibly dirty.
Those are my old flat
Flat
wounds.
wounds.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they look weird. Does that bass sound good?
Yeah.
Can I play us out on bass today?
Sure. Is there an input jack that works there? One of the pots fell in that guitar years ago. I never pulled it out.
I should fix it. I'll fix it for you.
You should. It's a little difficult to get all the tape off. Well, I might have to get new tape. Once you pull it off, it doesn't always stick again.
Oh, I think it would be all right.
So I don't know. My real take, it was real. I never planned to open that up. My real take here is like, I don't know, man.
I think it's good to push the
I just
envelope.
think you got to
a
push the
little bit.
envelope.
Yeah.
You just got to push the envelope and play what's awesome musically, and who cares? Like, you know what, but I don't know. There's just a weird thing that exists of like people being distracted. And I'm just like, well, you know, look, I can't be responsible if people have the attention span of a guppy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if the color of this distracts you, go away. There's not an aesthetic that we're after, even though we go for that.
Right.
Like just call a spade a spade. The gospel is open to all nations. So if you limit your expression of the church, I'm just saying, I love this. If you really are drawing a line at what is a cultural appropriateness, there is something actually like that you should be able to dig a little deeper and go, well, actually, if someone came in here with dress from another culture that I perceived as sincere, you know, I'm not talking about like if someone came in an inflatable suit, like an inflatable T-Rex suit, right? We'd go, this is not cool. This is not, you're like trying to
the
get a laugh.
Halloween ones, like they're walking around the neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
If that, then you'd be like, sir,
Those are
can you
great.
silence the fan? You know what I mean? Can you silence the fan on this suit?
Yeah.
But at some level, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's
Yeah.
no if it's like, hey, well, even if it's like, hey, we dress up here. Like, there's a little bit of that's even like borderline, like, well, I don't know. This is
Oh, that's interesting.
what is dress up?
I would choose to not go to that place.
Yeah.
Okay, hypothetically, like what you did to me.
But I've
like
been to
if
y'all's
Jay,
church.
If Jay,
Go ahead, sorry.
No, if Jay, you know, one of our bass players, texted me and said, "Hey, I got a new tuxedo. I'd like to wear a tuxedo on Sunday to play bass."
Right.
It would be the same conversation. Like, that's distracting, but it looks nice though. It's nice dress. Yeah, but everyone's gonna be focused on like, why is that guy in a full-on tuxedo?
Some churches though only wear tuxedo. Like everyone wears a
Right,
suit.
but it's
Like you
all
wouldn't
about
dare show
context.
up without
Right.
a
Yeah. But in our context, that would all eyes would be drawn to that, and they might be thinking like, why? That's what I think when people talk about distraction and worship.
I think,
it's like
but I think
you're drawing
no,
attention to yourself, not to the
That's-
music or something else. You know,
That is a strange view of people. People would go, I wonder if he's speaking today. And then they would move on. They would not, for 9 solid minutes of worship, like debate in their head all the reasons that man
No,
could
I
be.
don't-
Also, the fact that he's the bass player means most people probably would never even look at him, because I can tell you how many
That's
weeks.
true.
I
Bad
can tell you how
example.
many weeks I've played.
Yeah.
I've played on church for months. I play my church all the time. I've played, and then I go to the front door, and the greeters go, "Hello, is it your first time here?" And I'm like, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I'm not really in the front row. I'm not always lit the most.
Right.
You know what I mean? So people
Look-
aren't even looking. A lot of people just look right up at the words. You know, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not really
But-
taking in.
I
The
don't know.
thing
I'm
is, though,
split on
I
this.
feel like to be distracting doesn't mean you need to take 100% of their attention away
That's a
from
great
the
point.
morning.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a
I
great
feel
point.
like even a solid minute of like pondering why you're doing what you're doing is distracting.
But you're not really doing anything strange. I mean, it's not like you're walking up there doing the gritty across the stage or something. He's wearing clothing.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's, you know, look,
Look,
the
top
part-
hat monocle. I get what you're saying. If the guy just shows up in a suit, right? It's a fine
these are
line.
all fine lines. Exactly.
But I'm saying, right? It's a fine line. If it's just a
Yeah.
suit, even a tux, I don't know. It'd be a little formal.
a tuxedo is that's too much. It's
How
too
about
much.
motivation? Why are you wearing that? Is it for you? Are you trying to make a statement? Are
I
you
feel like
trying to be
that's the
out of the box? Like you said, am I doing this at worst case for me, best case for the music? That's the line. You
Right,
know, it's like
right.
some of the guitars you sent me. It's like you're just trying to be weird, and we're not
Right.
doing that on Sunday.
Right.
No, of
to be
course,
clear, I
of
wasn't
course.
actually.
Yes.
Oh
I mean,
no,
and
I
yeah,
that
I'm
made it better.
yeah.
I was mostly joking.
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Some of them.
I'm not saying there's no line, you know, like there's
That's
the,
helpful.
There's the naked chick decal that like what's
For
his name,
sure.
CC DeVille used on his like
Right.
signature.
What if it's on the
right?
back of the guitar?
Probably okay.
Just make sure you don't have one of those guitar stands.
Yeah,
it's like
the-
sideways.
It's just it's a weird thing, and it is a cultural thing at every place. But I would even, if the line is a cultural line, is that a good line? Because if it wouldn't be appropriate one place, how could it be appropriate another place?
The context is different.
It's the context.
Why
man.
does that determine? So there you go. You've made the assumption that somehow is a good argument.
No, I'm not.
Why is that a good argument? That the context? Why is the cultural context, or even the hyper local cultural context? Right. I've been to y'all's church. There's this. It's not a cult. You don't have to wear khakis. as a child, but there's a lot of
As a child.
as a child. But how many people at your
Most of the
church?
children are
most of
wearing
the children are wearing
khakis,
khakis
for
because
sure, yeah.
their mothers are just going. Well, these are like nicer pants. This is what you
yeah.
wear to be a little nicer.
Sunday's
We're
best,
not
yeah.
dressing you in a suit, kid.
Right.
No, because they're not in a church where so a suit would be weird. So now, so like we just for context have decided a little nicer than normal. Like something maybe a little nicer than either your private school, but come on, most of those kids are homeschooled. And so, like, right? It's like a little nicer, but not too nice is what we do. Too nice would be too much. Too little would be too little. But then you got some churches over here. I wear a suit and a tie. You know, you see those guys, and they all are in suits and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like you couldn't possibly be too nice,
Right.
right? So there is no too nice. Now it's only too little. And even khakis, like, well, you sit in the back. You know, like what about non-pleated
But what's your
khakis?
point here, though?
My point is, it's all arbitrary. Even if we say it's the context of like, well, this is what people do. No one really dictated that, right? It's just sort of like it's.
Yeah, but it's more about how outside the context you are, right?
Why is the context important? And if we all,
Because
Yeah.
if everyone goes expecting to see khakis and some guy's wearing, I don't know, something ridiculous,
right?
then he's going to be the person that grabs attention. But if you go into where everyone's wearing the wacky stuff and some guy's wearing khakis, then he's going to be the guy that grabs the attention. It's all a matter of what's, you know, one of these things is not like the other.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Something's wrong.
So it doesn't
here.
matter what the culture is. It's a matter of like how far outside that culture you are. That's how distracting you're going to be.
Where does conformity rank on like the hierarchy of like,
Importance or
especially in this context?
In
it
church,
depends
you're
on
saying?
the church. You know, I think that there's probably some churches that care that where it's all a melting pot, and you've got, and I feel like the church we went to or go to is, you know, there's a lot of there's khakis.
No, you could wear jeans and stuff. You could
There's,
be real
like,
casual. You wouldn't
there's a
notice.
lot of stuff.
I was just pointing out that we're in the South, and it's a church where you see the minivan doors open up, and three kids of varying heights
it
get out,
wasn't-
and they're all kind
yeah,
of dressed
yeah,
alike.
right.
And it's just you can tell that's intentional. Mom picked out the clothes the night before for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like just get your
That's
play
the
clothes,
norm.
kid.
Yeah.
You know, and so no, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing nicer clothes to church.
I don't
But
think
what
that's
is
you're
nicer?
saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is a
Well, I mean, just in my own life, like for the, most people don't probably realize I wear a black t-shirt. I've worn a plain black t-shirt every day
Yes.
since I was a junior in high school.
yes.
And you
I
only
don't-
own 3 of them.
I don't have any other t-shirts.
Yeah.
I only own black t-shirts.
Yes. Me as well now.
And if
kind
I-
of copying you.
Yeah. And if I'm in a situation where I can't wear a black t-shirt, I get uncomfortable. I don't like being in a situation
like a wedding.
Right.
Yeah, like I like stress out completely.
Interesting.
And
Do
I
you ever
use-
wear one of those tuxedo t-shirts?
Those were the best.
No,
I
True
had
story.
some
My
of those.
brother wore one of those to my wedding.
that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I typically would have to go to a store to buy clothes the night before
For
Right.
an event.
for an
Yeah.
event like
Right.
that because I just don't own it. And then
Interesting.
by the time it's time to wear one again, I've lost it.
Right.
It's
Do you think it
whatever.
would be appropriate if a guitar were too distracting that we get kind of like one of those like drummer shields, but the ones that go like halfway up solid and then it's glass, but we put that in front of the guitar player?
to hide his guitar?
That's like Todd used to do with pedal boards.
I feel like that's super distracting. I feel like that's
See, like this.
distracting.
See, like this
Remember
is
the
what I'm
pedal board covers?
See,
Yeah,
this
the
is what I'm
pedal board
talking about. Like
covers,
I had a Buddha Bud Wah. That's a popular wah pedal, and I remember one of the ushers at my previous church in California said, "This is distracting. We don't want sense." So he covered it up, and I was like,
because
Buddha,
it said Buddha on the
Buddha,
front?
and I was like, Buddha's not even spelled the way that Buddha is spelled. It's not even spelled like
Different
the fat
word,
guy.
yeah.
It's not. It's spelled. It's a different word. Like it's.
Right.
This is, and the joke was, it's like supposed to be like butter, smooth as butter, like.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so, I don't know what's that about.
Look,
You know, the lights are. I had them tell me one time the lights were distracting because it was flickering. It was tapping the tempo.
Oh, really?
And I was like, is your job now to figure out to find something to justify
Yeah.
your time?
Right.
Like, what
Yeah.
is anyone distracted by
Well,
this?
I also feel, I mean, look, let's be honest. Like, it's hard to find more particular people than at a church, right? That like what they like and they don't like stuff.
Anything
to go
else,
outside.
right.
Don't
Well,
change it.
this brings up like what I just said. Where does conformity lie on the list of like desirable traits? It's certainly not in the fruits of the spirit. I looked. Conformity, I didn't find it quite in there.
In preparation for this conversation, I hope the comments go off on this video. I hope people engage with
It's
it. I
one,
want to know
it's one of
people's
these
think.
very confusing things because one of the tenets of our religion is like really to put off your uniqueness, to take up your cross, right? To die to yourself and follow the way. Also, it's to be separated, sanctified, different, not partake, right? To leave and cleave. They're almost opposing ideas. And maybe the ideas are about the context for what are you applying the idea of being separated and what are you applying the idea of being one or in unity.
Right.
But this to me is where it gets very murky. You know what I mean? Because it's like, of course we have like worldwide representation, just not here. Not this morning here. Right. It's like, that's for someone else, somewhere else. You know what I mean? Now, but I mean, again, if that dude walks in and he's just in some weird thing and you're like, I think that's normal to him.
But it's like when you have missionaries come visit, right? And they're wearing what they would wear to church on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, you're wearing stuff that clearly none of us wear because you're from a different country.
Right.
And what's like, you know, Sunday best for you is completely different for us.
Totally.
And I feel like, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of it. I think it's just a matter of like, I think for most people, I mean, I feel like for most people, it's the fear of being the outsider, which is why. And like, let's just be honest, you don't have as much of that as most people. I think you have less of that. That's why you're okay with like
The fear of being an outsider.
Yeah, I think you're okay with pushing the limit more than most people are.
You might have a fear of being the insider.
It's possible. It's possible.